Hello everyone, I'm Jaliah,
And I'm Victoria Kelly.
I'm Kirstyn.
and we did our gender breach project. We did a polygamous relationship between three females. Our hypothesis for this was that we were gonna get a lot of negative reactions because polygamy is already deviant in U.S. culture. We are expected to be in a heterosexual monogamous relationship where it's a man and a woman. So we felt like this would really bring out a lot of opinion.
Okay, so in my own experience, I've never met anyone who's been in a polygamous relationship. Like none of my friends have been, and I've never been in one myself. So I don't. It's something like guess I would see it as deviant just because I wouldn't do it myself, even though there are people who do it, and I don't think I could be one or be in one myself because I don't I get too jealous and stuff. But
And yeah, same here. So, personally don't disagree with it, but I wouldn't participate in one myself for the same reasons as Kirstyn. But I do, as I was telling Julie in person, I have coworkers that do participate in polygamous relationships. However, it's more of a sexual thing and not an emotional thing. And also what we'll be talking about later, a lot of our comments were more about as long as both parties are okay with it and things like that, which we'll get
From my own experience, with being like from the countryside of the U.S., we don't think of polygamy at all. Like polygamy doesn't even come across our minds. Before I really even came to college, I didn't even know about polygamy like that. Like I've heard of it in like different cultures and countries and things like that, but had never experienced it, never known anybody in it. And for myself, I don't really disagree with it, but I can't say that I totally agree with it at the same time because from an emotional perspective of the situation, I don't think that I could deal with it. And but if someone was to tell me that they were in a polygamous relationship, I mean, I wouldn't look at them any differently because there's a lot of things that go on in society that are deviant.
into.
So for our project, what we did, as I said before, we did a polygamous relationship among three females. Um, we started off as wanting to do a open relationship on Facebook with all three of us, but seeing that we're in the U.S. and with our culture, you cannot be in a polygamous relationship on Facebook. So we tried it with two people, with Kirstyn and Victoria, and I was going to make comments saying that I wanted to be in a relationship with them as well. But we only got positive comments saying go for it, and on the reaction part you can press like, love, sad, happy, stuff like that. But we only got love and so what we did was we each made a status on Facebook saying about talking about polygamous relationships among three females and what would be your initial reaction to that, and now we'll talk about some of the comments that we got from
And also, just to point out, the fact that Facebook didn't allow more than two people to be in a relationship shows that it's viewed as socially deviant because polygamous relationships are a real thing, and we chose to do it between women because we felt like it's more acceptable for men to be seen dating multiple women versus women to be dating multiple women. So we thought that would get us a good reaction and opinions on how that is.
So most of the reactions that I got from the status they were all from guys. First of all, like none of the girls I have on my friends list commented at all. I thought that was weird. But all the guys were like, it's okay, as long as they're happy and as long as everything works out, then I wouldn't be against it. But I also think that since it was on Facebook and not like in person and it wasn't somebody they actually knew, they weren't like showing their true feelings about it. Like I think it would be different if they actually met somebody or like one of their friends were in a polygamous relationship.
Also, another thing to point out, the reason why we chose social media instead of doing it in person, honestly, the first reason was because our schedules didn't really cooperate or correlate that we could meet up and actually do something or even do things on our own because we couldn't really find a proper setting to do the thing. So we felt like social media was a bigger platform because we have like I had like 2,000 friends on Facebook. Victoria has a lot of friends, and also Kirstyn. So we have a wide range of people to get opinions from. But honestly, like on my status, like Kirstyn said, a lot of people were actually like not saying that they were accepting of it, but they acted as if like they were to see it, or if it was one of their friends, they would be more understanding. But they wouldn't necessarily agree. The men on my status were the ones that said that they would question it, and one man in particular said that he um, would ask if he could honestly join. And I feel like that goes that goes in like that thing, like when we were talking about like masculinity and femininity, like with him being like a man and masculine, he feels like he could probably like control the relationship because he's the man, or he could get like all his sexual pleasures out because all these women that would be like
Sexual objects.
yeah, they're like sexual objects. Like he saw it as that. He didn't even think about it in an emotional aspect. Like he just like, oh, can I join in? And then the other male that commented, he was more like socially and politically correct. What he was saying, he would ask if it was like a forced thing or if it was something they really did willingly. Is there any issues that they have that cause them to be in that relationship? And also I have the comments I got for women where honestly they said their initial reaction would honestly be that they would be shocked, and I feel like, I mean, that would be my reaction too, because if one of my best friends was to tell me, like, Julia, I'm in a polygamous relationship with like two of these other girls, and I just wanted you to know before you like find out for someone else, I would be like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, that's unheard of. Like, from where I'm from, or either like any of my friends, I don't think that they would be like that, so it would be a real shock to me as well. And one comment in particular, um, the girl said, I would honestly look at her like, what the heck? I'd make a joke about it because that's what I do, but then I'd ask for her to explain to me her thought process and reasoning behind agreeing to that. I like to try and understand things. And I just feel like that's the kind of perspective that everybody nowadays has because honestly, I feel like if this was like in the 50s, the 60s, or anything like that, that conversation would like get you hurt. Or like what in our culture it would like get you like physically hurt or something like that. Like saying that you were even looking at another woman in that way, being a woman. So I feel like we have really progressed in that way, and it's a positive thing that most people responded like that. I mean, some of the people that I know that have like conservative views didn't comment, and one person even texted me and said like I don't think that's right and stuff like that. They didn't even comment. They just text me and was like, I don't think that it is even right. And then someone else texted me and said that they will agree with it and they will understand and they will support her decision. So I got some pretty good reactions on my status as well.
And so for mine, first what I did was texted my family to let them know about the project, so they wouldn't post anything crazy under my status. And one thing that interested me is that although my mom and my brother were really supportive about it, one of my aunts, she was just like, well, you're going to be looking really suspect on Facebook. And she basically meant that as in a way saying that if I'm dating a woman and another woman on Facebook, then how's that going to make me look? And, so that shows that there are still some social stigmas towards that. And then also my grandma, she commented back that she was okay with it. She's like, well, it's okay. It's for a grade. It's not like it's in real life. And just made me wonder, like, oh, well, what if it was in real life? Then would it not be okay? So other than that, mostly on my status, I got a lot of positive feedback like Jaliah did. A lot of people basically said that as long as everyone's on the same page, it's okay, as long as they're not cheating. And it seemed like the thing that they saw the most deviant is that if everyone wasn't on the same page or if someone was cheating on the other person, they didn't know about it, that was seen as more deviant than the fact that it was three women in a relationship together. So that was pretty interesting to me. And I also got like two or three comments from people that are in polygamous relationships. So I guess it could be a little biased, but it just does go to show that out of 11 comments, three of them were in a polygamous relationship. So it shows that it is more socially acceptable these days in our society with our generation, even though like not in the state because clearly more than two people can't be married at once. So it shows even though the state can regulate relationships, people still do these things in everyday life, and it is becoming more acceptable among people because we didn't get as much negative feedback as we thought that we would.
Also to add on to that, I feel like after we told them like, okay, this was actually like a project. This was like we're not in a relationship like with each other, and we're just doing this to get feedback and reactions and things like that. People were more like wanted to be more compassionate and have more empathy towards the situation. But honestly, I feel like if we were to go out in public and do this experiment, if we had more time and things like that, then the reactions would be real, and it wouldn't be like a initial reaction. It would be it would be a real initial reaction. It won't be like a thought out Facebook comment that you can sit for hours and think about. So I think that when people when people know like it's something that's gonna be like oh, this person's really gonna like read what I say and really gonna like take it into account, and then like, oh, I need to be more like I need to be more nice. So I feel like people put that into account when they answer our questions on our statuses.
I agree with that too, because now when I think about it, I did have a friend that texted me and was like, "What's all this mess that you're posting on Facebook?" So I felt like not only did she read the status and not want to comment on it on Facebook because it would be for everyone to see it, but she wanted to text me privately. And maybe it was because a lot of people said that they would want an explanation and a better understanding. But I feel like also because she had like some disregard towards the entire thing. And then, because I also had another coworker that I saw later that day, and she was like, I was going to text you about your status, but I wasn't sure. And I was just like, well, what does that mean? Do you have any questions? So that was pretty interesting as well. So I feel like a lot of people might say that it's acceptable, but only because they know that it's being viewed on a social platform and that everyone will read their comment versus how they might actually really feel about it if they saw it in person or if you ask them on like a self-report survey if it would be the same answers.
Um, when I was, or after we did the status with me and Victoria being in an open relationship, I had asked this guy I'm talking to if he saw it and what he thought. And he was like, "Oh, I just thought you guys were like being girls. Like girls do that sometimes on Facebook." And I thought that was interesting that he didn't like
Wow.
take it seriously. He just thought it was something that wasn't real.
Um, moving on, like our reaction to the exercise, we all were like, what are we gonna do? Because all our options were like very uncomfortable, like going out in public and things like that. But honestly, with our like timing and like scheduling things again, like I said, it wasn't possible for us to even meet to do any of these things. So um, even doing the status, I feel uncomfortable, and the reason being is that so many people like if you put a status up asking a question how a person would feel about something that someone else is that someone else is doing, and you put in like an anonymous type of way, they think you're talking about yourself. So I automatically felt like as soon as I put this status up, somebody's gonna be like, "She's in a relationship with two girls, y'all. Y'all know that?" Like start group text on, oh, Jaliah, she's in a relationship with two girls, and she'll be asking for our reaction. So, even before that happened, like, um, I wanted to do a project where it was gonna make me feel uncomfortable, but also like I had to think about my sanity and stuff like that because I was like, what if this goes too far? What if it goes viral? What if like 1,000 people start commenting and liking and like talking down on me? So I was like, I put it in a more like politically correct and a more like subtle way instead of doing it like saying, oh, I'm in a relationship with like these two girls right here, so like this is it. Because I know like with people from where I'm from, they are not. They're like a lot of people are like Christian, like the older people that I follow or friends with on Facebook are like heavy Christians, and they're always talking about the Bible and bringing God into the situation. So I was actually expecting them to comment more, but honestly, none of them really did. So I don't know if there was a statement in itself or they just really didn't have anything to say about it.
And I was the same way because when we were talking in our group chat about like let's post a status and let's do the open relationship, me and Kirsten were both like, and Jaliah were all like, oh my gosh, how are people gonna react? Like I'm nervous. We're nervous about what people are gonna say about the relationship, and it's not even because we have any biases towards people that are like choose to be in polygamous relationships. It's just more like the social norms and what people go for, and that this wouldn't be something that they thought was okay, even if they did say that it was okay. So that was really like nerve wracking. But then once I started getting back feedback on the actual comment where we posed the question, it shows how open minded more people are nowadays. Not all people, because I feel as though a lot of my open minded and friends of the LGBTQ community commented more so than like my conservative people, not really friends, but people on there that have different opinions, because I do know some of the people that like the status on here, which I thought was interesting, are some of the same people that made statuses within the past week about how they wouldn't be okay with having a gay son or something like that, which is why I think it's, I don't think it was real reactions, clearly, because if you're not okay with having a gay son, you're probably not okay with two women being in a relationship with a third woman as well. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, my initial like response to this was I was nervous because I was afraid my parents or like my family were gonna say something crazy on my status because I didn't tell any of my family members, and then I have like a lot of extended family members on Facebook who I haven't talked to in like years, so like I didn't know if they were gonna like call my parents and be like, what the hell is this?
Right.
Like what is she doing? But none of them commented and it was fine. But I was just nervous because I know how people would react to something like this.
And even the fact that she brought that up, it reminds me, like, the fact that I even thought that I needed to text my family to explain it to them shows that there's a social stigma towards this, because it's like, I want you guys to know this is not really who I am. This is just what I have to do, which is not true at all. But that's just how you know that people don't really find this acceptable.
My feelings after doing this just made me feel like, we have really, what's the correct word? Like, we have, like, transitioned into, like, a new type of society almost. Not saying totally transition, because it's still some people that don't believe in polygamy. It's still some people that don't believe in open relationships. It's still some people that don't believe in being a lesbian or being a gay man or being a transsexual or transgender and stuff like that. So I feel like with people being more open and being more accepting to it, like on our statuses, it just shows that we have really like progressed as a nation almost. But I mean, there's still some work to do. But it really makes me like happy to see that people are more inclusive and more like considerate of other people's feelings and their emotions, and that like sometimes just like being like sometimes like you have to think about not yourself and how you feel, but you have to think about how the people that are around you feel as well. And like, with being maybe like a lesbian or a gay man, like maybe you can't detach your feelings from having feelings for the same sex. And like I feel like it's good that people are taking that into consideration today instead of just saying this is in the Bible, you shouldn't be doing that, that's wrong, that's deviant, like you should be like penalized for doing that. So I think it's a good thing. I felt better and I felt good after doing this exercise instead of like feeling like bad that people were just like, oh y'all are just like wrong, y'all shouldn't be doing that. Like I didn't get any of those reactions. I didn't get any like you shouldn't be doing this type of reactions. But like as Victoria can explain, she did get a couple comments on hers that said that they wouldn't agree with
Yes, I did. And okay, so one of the comments that I got was from one friend that I used to work with, and she said if it was strangers, then it would be absolutely none of her business. But she said if it was her friends, then her main concern would be, are they safe and are they happy? As if being in a relationship with more than two people makes you unsafe. And I thought that that comment was interesting coming from her, because this girl is transgender, and I feel like if anything, she's more aware of social deviance that can be tagged along with relationship status and gender. And so I felt like these people from that community would be more open to the idea than other people from heterosexual couples, but that wasn't the case with that. And then I also had another friend that said she wouldn't be okay with it, but she was more focusing on the emotional aspect, as if someone's going to love someone more than the other person, or it's going to be considered cheating. And she doesn't think it's okay because being in a relationship with one person is hard enough. And so I feel like a lot of the negative comments had to do more about the emotional aspect and how someone's going to end up hurt, and you can't love people equally, which is also very interesting to me.
it.
I was gonna say that like after this, it kind of like restored my faith in humanity because like nobody like really like bashed any of us. Like everyone was pretty okay with it, even if they were just putting on a show. They didn't.
They tried to be open to it, and the people that weren't open, they tried for extra explanation. So it shows that people are becoming more okay with these things in society, mostly among our generation, but still in general.
Yeah. One of my last comments about what the person said on Victoria's status about being safe and happy. I feel like some people, this may be a stretch, but I feel like some people think when it's like more than two people in a relationship, they think of it as like if it's a man and like two women, or a man and like three women, or something like that. They automatically think like, oh, they're prostitutes. Or like they're like in the sex ring, and I think that's what she said. Like that's why she said, "Are they safe and are they happy?" Or like is this like a forced thing? Like somebody even said it on my status. They were like, I would ask, were they forced, or were like, is this like a okay thing? Were they okay with it? Is this like consensual, or like you like forced to do this? So I feel like that's why she yes, this person said that. But yeah. Um.
So in summary,
Okay.
In summary, our hypothesis was that there would be like a lot of negative, deviant attitudes towards two women being in a relationship with the third woman. And it turns out that we were wrong and that people were actually very okay with it or open to it and trying to understand it, and it wasn't as negative or as bad as we thought it was going to be. So that was pretty interesting. And then I think another reason we might have been nervous is because, as far as race goes, not only is it that two women are in a relationship, but me and Kirstyn, like, I'm black and she's white.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like, it was also that thing of like, oh my gosh, she's dating outside of her race and outside of her gender.
Mm-hmm.
And so we thought that was going to be a horrible thing, and it didn't turn out to be. So that was pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, we really couldn't say anything about class because we didn't really bring class into it. We didn't say like, oh, I have this job, she has this job, we're together. But I mean, basically, like I said, I feel like people more accept them because it was women, and I feel like generally in society, when women are like lesbians and stuff like that, they aren't deemed as deviant as men that are in homosexual relationships. Like I've seen people that are men in same-sex relationships like get battered and bullied by people that don't even know them, and it's just because they're gay. And it's, I mean, it's by people. It's some people that do know them that do stuff like that. And then, like, um, for instance, I saw a case where this woman, like, she was from like I think the Caribbean or something like that, where she got two men. She hired two men as hitmen to kill her son because he was gay. And I feel like a lot of people, yeah, but like it's like people really. That's a big like being a gay man is has a bigger stigma behind it than being like a gay woman in our society because a lot of people um, sexualize women more, so they see that as like a better thing than men being.
Definitely agree with that. And then because of the gay men, they're deviating away from masculinity, which is probably why it's so viewed so negatively. But with women, it's like we're automatically seen as nurturing and caring. So it's not hard to imagine multiple women together,
Yeah,
I guess.
because they're like
It's
upholding
still weird.
femininity.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was our gender breach project, and we learned a lot about everything.
Do you have any conclusions?
Um, this was an interesting project.
Yes, really.
It made me realize that a lot of people are more open to things than what I thought.
And I think it showed us our own implicit bias too, because we weren't even aware that we were biased towards it until it's time for us to be in one ourselves. And it's not just like, oh, how do you feel about this? It's like, oh, I am this, and how do you feel about me now? So that was pretty interesting to like step out of our shoes into someone else's shoes and be judged for ourselves.
Yeah, and like you said, like we were biased towards it because if we weren't as like um scared or uncomfortable to do it, like we would have just went ahead and did it. Like it took us a while to even try to like do it because it was just like I don't know how that's gonna go.
We
I
kept
don't.
talking about
Yeah,
it.
we kept talking about it beforehand. We were like, we don't know how that's gonna go. I don't like. My first thing was, y'all, I don't want to go viral. That was the first thing I said.
Definitely.
I was like, I don't want to go viral because on Facebook it's liable for it to go viral, and I just don't want to have that like my senior year in college. Like I just don't want to have that. So, and it just showed that like since we were scared to do it, that it is a deviant thing because if it wasn't deviant or had a stigma behind it, then we would have did it like that. So I think that's another thing.
Yeah, this was a great project.
And again, I'm Jaliah.
Victoria.
Kirstyn.
And thank you.